I'm coming to you from a slightly snowy but very sniffly Toronto. I want to talk to you today about your immune system, as mine is struggling. No, it's actually not struggling, it's doing quite well, to fight through something that my daughter very kindly gave me last week when she had a scratchy throat and a stuffed up nose, and I did a much better job of caring for her to get her through this. And while I have gone through a million boxes of the very soft tissues, then my very sore nose and stuffed up nose is still around for me. And I thought, oh wow, how ironic. Someone said, well, you can't do a Facebook Live about your boosting your immune system while you're sick, and I'm just gonna tell you how these things roll, and that we're not all invincible, because I'm a nutritionist and I do my best to eat great things. This past weekend, as this was coming on for me, I wasn't at home, so I didn't have all my remedies with me, and I wasn't able to do what I usually do, which is boost the hell out of my immune system as I feel something coming on. So just because I too, as everybody does, fall with a head cold, this is really, it's mostly in my head. My body's doing fine. I'm not going to call this the flu, because my body's doing okay, just a little bit tired, which is what happens. So this is another sign for me to try and also slow down, because that's not always an easy thing to do. So to talk about, that's, how are we going to boost the immune system? How are we going to get ourselves through colds, flus, all of those kind of things? It is that time of year. This is probably the second time that I've been sick this year, which is really quite unusual for me. But also, just over 6 weeks ago, I had an accident on a sailboat and I broke 2 of my ribs. So my body is in a completely different place to how it normally is. The stress, the pain, the lack of sleep, all of that I've been going through as I've been recovering is completely different to what my body's used to. So I'm not getting upset about it. I'm not worrying too much that everything's going south. Honestly, to boost your immune system all the time, all the way through the winter, and also through the summer too, because sometimes we end up with summertime colds and things like that, which somehow just doesn't seem fair. But I wanted to go through today and tell you my top tips and what I do usually do. As I said, with this particular cold, I wasn't at home. I didn't have all of my remedies with me. That are the ones that I start with as soon as something comes on. I'm going through all the different things that I need to. So excuse me for a moment. Drippy nose continues. So, and I have to say, I'm going to show you the cream that I plaster around my nose, because if you're using any other Kleenex and something that has some sort of softness in it, your kid's nose just end up being absolutely raw. So I plaster on this Unda 270 pomade, it's called. This is available on sproutright.com. This is the best bum cream ever. This is the cream that I came across when my kids were younger, and it does not sting anything. So any child that has a rash, that has a sore or eczema that is so sore, then this is absolutely the cream for it. Last night I went to bed plastered in the cream all around my nose, and I really don't have tons of makeup on to cover up my Rudolph nose this morning. But every time I wipe, then, if I'm not on video or speaking or TV or something, then I'm going to plaster more on. I've got to do a workshop later on, so everybody will get to see my bright red nose then too. Okay, so let's talk about, first of all, washing your hands a million times a day. My daughter had this last week. She brought it home from school. So she didn't wash her hands nearly enough. I'm caring for her, all of those kind of things. I didn't wash my hands enough, which is how it got transmitted to me. So really, really important thing straight out of the gate is hand washing. And then as soon as you start to feel like you've got that little scratchy something, you've got a throat thing going on, you've got a nose thing going on, get the kettle boiling. As soon as you get that kettle boiling, put in some lemon, put in some honey. Raw honey is fantastic. My daughter did have much more of a sore throat than I do. And I would give her just a half a teaspoon of raw honey, and it really helps to coat the throat. A lot of people use throat lozenges just because you think, okay, well, that's going to help my throat. It's really just giving them sugar. It's now honey because of, in the situation of raw honey, then there are sort of like almost natural antibiotics in there. And I don't want to use that word just to think that you can use this instead of antibiotics. If you've got a secondary infection and something is going on, then you really must obviously see your doctor. However, raw honey is absolutely incredible for so many things. Manuka honey is a step above just buying some local raw honey, but all of the enzymes, all of the protein in there coats your throat so well, and it really, really eases that sore throat. So what I tend to do is I get my mug of hot water, I'll squeeze in half a lemon, and then I put some honey into that as well. And then the best bit is when you squeeze in a clove of garlic. Garlic is so antibacterial, antiviral. It is absolutely incredible. And then when you make what I call the garlic bomb, I've taken this on TV with me many times. When you make this garlic bomb and you just drink it all the way to the bottom, you're probably not going to be breathing over anyone if you're sounding like me all sniffly, then you can just down it, and it's absolutely tremendous. So you've got obviously natural garlic. I make garlic toast, garlic bread with butter and mixed in with garlic, and then I just broil it for my kids. Make some soup. I always have some broth. So let me show you some of the things that I have here. So if you're not into downing the garlic in the garlic bomb, then Ali Max have sent me some of their products in the past, and I've tried them out and I'm pretty impressed. So for a garlic, I'm not sure if I'm really smelly or not, but as soon as something comes on or as prevention, I've really found that helps quite a lot. They've got a much stronger one as well. You can pick these up in the health food store. Now, food as medicine is really important. So I sort of switch up to things like smoothies, soups, because you can get so much more into them when you're not really feeling particularly hungry, or your kids are not feeling super hungry either. So I've just popped this out of the freezer, which is why this looks so frosty here. But this is some bone broth, which I've had that I made, and I always have this in the freezer. So a mug of bone broth, or if you can see through this as well, this is, let me just warm that up. It's just because it's come out of the freezer. This is some chicken noodle soup that I've made, and I always have this. So this will be my lunch today. I'll add in some soba noodles to this. I'll put in some extra ginger, some extra garlic, but I've got some carrots, some onions. There's probably already some garlic in here. And the other magic ingredient that I add into this is miso paste. So you find that if you go to a Japanese restaurant or your Chinese restaurant and you have miso soup, it's the paste that goes into the water, and you can very easily make that yourself. So you just take a teaspoon, mix it in with hot water. You don't really want to boil miso. That's not the best thing for it, because a little bit like the raw honey, there is tons and tons of really great nutrients, live enzymes. It's a fermented food actually, so it's a really good probiotic too. I'll come on to talk about probiotics. You know, if anybody's watched me before, there's always a discussion of probiotics in anything that I do. So I will just I'll warm up my soup, or even my broth actually. I'll warm up my soup, and then as I'm putting it into my bowl, then I'll take a teaspoon and I'll just sort of mix it in. You kind of have to put the spoon up against the side of the bowl just to really get it all mixed in, and then you have that too. So the nutrient content, if your child, or if you are just no, I'm not really hungry, I know I should eat something, most of the time you're sitting there thinking, oh, I just want something sweet to kind of give you some energy to get over this. This sort of down dip. There's so much in my body, because I'm sick, so much in my body that's going on right now, and really trying to, really trying to fight all of this. So it's about feeding easily my body so that it can fight. So the miso soup will go in, the bone broth will go in, and it helps to break up the mucus. It is absolutely amazing how much mucus your body will produce. So from my favorite face feeling like it weighs about 100 pounds. The amount of Kleenex that I've gone through and blowing my nose. I also use, I call them the squish bottles. It's like just a saline and mix it up together, and then I, rinse through my sinuses, because I can sometimes be prone to getting a sinus infection, and it just clears out your nose and it just feels so much better. All sorts of different products to do for that. But if I feel like this side right here is feeling a little bit heavy, it's sort of getting into my teeth, the inflammation, or pressing on some of my nerves, then I'll start to put either a probiotic into that or put some golden seal in there too. And then it really helps to kill a lot of the bacteria that might be building up here, working towards sinusitis or something like that. But while I've got things like garlic going in, while I've got things like probiotics going into my body, all of this is boosting my immune system so that it keeps it in check. So typically what happens when I have my remedies and when I can get to them all straight away, in case you hear a bunch of squeaking in the background, I'm looking after some guinea pigs for a friend and they're in my office. So I should flip this around because my dog is having a great time looking at the guinea pigs, but that's what the little squeaking is. Normally when I get to taking all of my remedies in the beginning, probiotics are the number one thing that are going in there, and that's boosting my immune system. And if something takes hold, it's not that we can completely stop it dead in its tracks. Sometimes you can do that, and if you do, it comes out in another way anyway sometime. So it's more that we're trying to boost the immune system so that as you're going through all the processes, all of the immune army is really fighting right now. I've got part of my immune army that's killing viruses, it's trying to kill bacteria. All of this is going on, but then really importantly, there's a cleanup crew that comes along afterwards to get rid of everything. Because sometimes if let's say you were taking, a cold and flu over the counter or something, it's making you feel better, but it's not actually boosting from the depths of your immune system. And that's what we really want to do. So because 80% of our immune system is in our gut, taking HMF intensive or something stronger, this is about 25, this is 25 billion CFU, which is kind of like the milligram version of a probiotic. Taking 1 to 4 of these a day would be absolutely amazing. Now this trio here is what let me turn those around. This trio here is my absolute go-to. Now flip the screen around so I can show you guys then, and not everything's backwards. So it's kind of like trying to show you in a mirror. So this is Olive Leaf. Let me do that way. Olive Leaf, Temple Warrior, and Mycelia Intrinsic. Now this is from Physica. This is a professional line of products. You're only going to be able to find them from a naturopath, a chiropractor, a nutritionist. They're actually Canadian made. They're absolutely amazing. I have lots and lots of their products that I use. So Mycelia Intrinsic, these 3 I put together, they call this the upcharge. So Mycelia is actually based on mushrooms. So things like shiitake mushrooms, I'll put that into my soup sometimes because they're really amazing for boosting the immune system. So this is a complex that's all in together, and then I put a couple of squirts into some water. And then next up is Temple Warrior. As soon as my kids say that they're getting sick, I say, okay, let's get out the Temple Warrior. They say, no, Mom, it tastes terrible. But sometimes that when it tastes terrible, it works. This is amazing. As soon as I got home on the weekend and my nose was going and I had a slightly scratchy throat, this is the first thing that I went for. Well, I put all 3 together and then I just down it. And then we've got Olive Leaf Intrinsic. Now, Olive Leaf is incredibly boosting for the immune system. And I know people that take this all throughout the winter. Every single day, they just keep on taking it. It's also amazing for getting rid of yeast, for getting rid of some tummy bugs and all those kind of things, because they pull down your immune system. So even if we've got all these other things going on that you think, well, that's not quite related to what I've got going on, it really can be, because your immune system is busy dealing with all of that stuff, and then it doesn't have enough energy to deal with what's going on. So a little bit about like what I said, where, my body has been through a lot over the past 6 weeks with flying through the air on the sailboat, breaking 2 ribs, dealing with the pain, not being able to move. I got a cough partway through, so that was, brought the pain level up, and that really, really affects your adrenal glands, your stress glands. My body has thought that I've been in stress for the past 6 weeks solidly. And when we're in that place where our adrenaline and cortisol is all over the place, and I haven't been sleeping because of the pain of the ribs and all that kind of stuff, then of course we're going to be more susceptible. So let's say you're a new parent and you're always getting up to go and tend to a child, or your baby's not sleeping so well, or your toddler's in and out of bed and all those kind of things. That is so going to affect your body and your immune system. So while some people think, I can't do this all the time, I can't, all of those kind of things, you've got to have these guys on hand. So this is, like I said, that's the first place I go to. Probiotics every single day. Every day, every day, every day. So important. Then you can bring in things like the garlic and the extra boosters. I've got ascorbate C here. This is a vitamin C powder. This is part of my immune boosting package for kids and toddlers, which is available on sproutright.com. It's a powder. I just go up to my kids, I take a scoop and I throw it in their mouth. I don't even mix it with anything. They've absolutely got used to this stuff of mom coming towards them saying, here, take this, here, take this, even this trio, and they go, I don't want to take it. And but they know. My 15-year-old says, Mom, just give me whatever. I just want to feel better. I don't care how it tastes. So sometimes these things, when they're not laden with sugar and all that kind of stuff, then they cannot taste that so great, but it just is. You just got to take it because it's going to help you to get through. So also part of the immune boosting package, and this is something that I use with kids all the time as well, and I absolutely take it. So this is called Imugen. So these are our phytonutrients, the buds that we see on the trees in the springtime. They harvest them, and then they take, rather than sort of taking like a herb or a plant, they take that and they call it, this is what's called the phytogen. Absolutely so powerful and so amazing, and kids love it. I see kids come out of immune challenges on a regular basis just by including this. So part of the immune boosting package, so we're touching on everything, is the ascorbate C, the Imugen, then there's also the kids probiotic, which is called Fit for School. So there is research that was done on this that showed a significant reduction in days off school, in the length of time of the cold, because there's extra vitamin C, and vitamin D is a really, really great level of vitamin D in here in this Fit for School, as well as this has 12.5 billion CFU, so half of what this one is. And kids love it. Kids just love taking this. It's just a chewable, and then they get that down, and they're quite excited about that. Pediatrovite is something I've used for a really long time. So this is a multi. I also can make this up more for an adult that needs a lot more nutrients than what's in here, or the levels to be higher. This is just because kids, they lose their appetite. As soon as they lose, we all do, as soon as you lose your appetite, then you want to make sure that some nutrients are going in, because they get into a bit of a negative feedback loop where they're sick, and then sort of as they're getting better, then because the parents are so worried about what they're eating or not eating, then you start to give them all sorts of garbage, and then their immune system's down because they're eating too much sugar. So give them the nutrients so that their immune system can stay really nice and high, and then off they go. They just kind of keep on going. And then this is a new one that I've been using this year, the VitaKids Immune. So this has more herbal, it's sort of a syrup, more of the amazing like rose hips and things to help coughs and flus and all of those kind of things. So this is all a part of the immune boosting package, which is available on sproutright.com. And I highly recommend it. Sorry, drippy nose again. I highly recommend that any kid can take this of any age. There's more. This is probably the only one which you might want to switch up to, maybe the children's chewable, which is available in the toddler package. It's really for kids too, where you're giving them more nutrients, especially at those times when they're not eating so much. Now, in terms of prevention, so vitamin D is huge. There is so much more research about vitamin D being, almost sort of like the flu shot, not quite, but, working differently in your body, but boosting your immune system so much. I'm going to be looking into that and doing a series on radio about flu shot versus natural things. I'm going to be talking with a doctor as well, which is absolutely amazing. So this is my favorite vitamin D. This is Sol Radi, again, a Physica product. And now this is a liposome spray. What does that mean? That means that as soon as you spray it in your mouth, all of the skin underneath is where it's absorbed. So under your tongue, you've got this, super porous super porous skin in there, all the epithelial that's in there, and the vitamin D in a liposome spray means that it just absorbs. There's also vitamin K2, so for me and my broken ribs, this is amazing because it's what really helps to get a lot of the calcium back into the bones. Sorry, that made me jump. It's just a bit of a menagerie around here with the guinea pigs and the dog going on. So the Solray D is absolutely incredible for everyone to be taking. So 1 spray a day for most kids. I've been doing 10 sprays, which is 10,000 IUs of vitamin D every day, just to help to heal my ribs, and then also just in prevention of the season. So this is a cold that probably started Saturday, Sunday-ish. And if I had got onto all of my, these guys straight away, everything probably would be rounded up in about 3 days. So it's not necessarily that we can halt what's coming at us. Somebody sneezed on you, you've got this itchy nose and things like that. There's all sorts of homeopathics. Oscillococcinum from Briron is also amazing for flu stuff. And you can take those things, but what I find is that it just really shortens it and you just don't feel so crummy. Last night I had one of those nights where I was up and then I got my hot water bottle again. I plaster my body in cod liver oil, castor oil, which is incredible for boosting the immune system, draining the respiratory system. So even if I have a little bit of a cough, I know that it's going to dissipate quite quickly. Another thing that's so important, the water has got to go in, and it's the most boring thing. I've been breathing through my mouth all night long, so my mouth is like thinking, I don't really want water. It's not really tasting that great. So I went and got some coconut water out. This is the Zyco. I think I picked this up from Costco or something. And it just has a little bit more flavor to it, and it's so hydrating. My body is working so hard to burn everything off. And that hydration, whether it's from the broth that's lovely and warm, whether it's from my chicken noodle soup that I'm going to have later with my miso, or just keep on drinking the coconut water every single day. Sometimes people say, oh my God, I've got so much to do. And then you want me to do all of these other things? Yes, I do. Empower yourself. Look after yourself. This is the ultimate in self-care. The ultimate in self-care of looking after yourself by taking 3 minutes to take your 3 upcharge here, the physical ones, to taking your garlic, to having some extra vitamin C every day, all of these kind of things. And then it feels like, okay, I'm on the case. I've got this going on, and you know that you can always do a lot more probiotics. You can do a lot more of the upcharge with the Physica trio of drops. All of that you can really, really do to boost yourself so much. There are all sorts of things that you can use to boost your immune system, from astragalus to there's so many. Echinacea is another fantastic one, but it takes time. We've got to keep doing these all the time, and of course we have to eat well. I am not having any dairy at all because dairy is mucus forming, and as I said before, this 100 pounds of weight that I feel in mucus in my face, you can see it's all super puffy. This 100 pounds in weight is it's phenomenal how my body manages to produce mucus. And then if I were to add dairy on top of that, having milk or cheese or yogurt or anything like that, it does build more mucus. And I've got more than enough that my body's producing because it's trying to capture bacteria, viruses, and get it out of my body. That's the purpose of it. And especially in kids, that is the #1 way that their bodies fight anything, and that is to produce mucus. So you know that their nose is dripping because they're teething. Their nose is dripping because they're fighting something. It's just how it goes, and it's such a drag because they never want their nose to be wiped. But remember, get it that fantastic under 270 cream and plaster it around if they've got a little bit of a red nose like I do, because it's so soothing. It's draining. I mean, that's the original cream for eczema that I use with all of my clients, babies, adults, anyone. Super dry fingers in the winter time, all those kind of things. That under 270 cream goes everywhere with me. So there are so many things we can do to help ourselves. And don't look at it as, oh God, it's just another thing to do. You are so important. This is important for you to do to take care of yourself. I'm a mom. I've got my 2 kids. I've got my business. I'm working on my ribs. You know, there's always all these things going on while working, while doing this. I've got a speaking engagement today to a group that I'm going to. It's really hard to stop. I know that I'm going to end up on the couch later on, all tucked in with a nice warm glass of my broth and some miso soup. I've got to get done what I need to get done this morning, but also I'm not super mom, and I know that if I keep on pushing, that it's just going to take longer for myself to get better. So do try and employ that self-care for yourselves, because we're going to do it for our kids. That's what I did, and that's how I got sick, because my daughter was sick. So it's going to happen, and you know that if you just work on all of these things I've talked about this morning, that you can really, really get, you know, really try and, if it's going to come, it's going to come. Let's just shorten it and keep it really to, you know, 2 or 3 days. You can still get through the day. You can still go to work if that's what you've got to do. Just go to bed earlier, hot Epsom salts bath, plaster yourself in castor oil, put on your t-shirt, go to bed, hot water bottle on, cold wet socks on your feet. All this stuff is in my book. Cold wet socks on your feet. It's absolutely amazing to be able to do that too. To help against a cough, because that's huge. As soon as you start coughing all night long, then you're really not able to heal. Here comes the red nose. You're not able to heal as well, because you're not sleeping, so resting during the day becomes so much more important. So anything that you want to know about with the immune system, pop it in a comment below if you're watching this and say, what was that again that I'm supposed to take, or those kind of things. I don't always give recommendations over over a Facebook post or anything like that, but a lot of these things are quite readily available. Of course, you can get it all on sproutright.com. We always really appreciate your support and buying from our store. So we're here for you with no matter what it is that you need, of course, as always, in any particular way. So let's fight these bugs together and keep our head above water. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'll keep checking back to see if there's any comments or questions further to this. And share. If you've got a friend who's coming down with something, just hit share and send it on over to them. We always appreciate just passing this around to as many people as you possibly can. Thanks so much for joining me this morning, and I'm gonna go and get myself another box of tissues and plaster on some more cream before my next gig. All right, I'll talk to you very soon. Take good care. Bye.